Last night we watched Meh-tiverse.
Oh.
Meh-tiverse of Madness.
Oh.
Which was probably a mid-movie before watching Everything Everywhere All at Once, but now is a super mid-movie having seen it before. So, man, I'm not going to sit here and say that it was a shit movie, because I don't necessarily think it was shit, but I will say this is the first Marvel movie that I watched where I said, okay, Marvel needs electroshock therapy or some like they need something to get out of this. They're in too much of a routine. They've been married for 30 years. They've been fucking a missionary for all 30, and now somebody needs to say the elephant in the room is I'm tired of missionary, and can we at least roll over? Like something needs to happen to make this whole thing more interesting, because there's only so many more times that I can watch these films for their quippy, like, diminishing return one-liners that they have that are, in this movie, were delivered worse than any other Marvel movie that I saw previous. And there's only so much that you can, pull the wool over my eyes with fancy effects, because the problem is, they weren't fancy! This movie looked like it hadn't been put through the final fucking, pass in special effects, which has been an increasing problem for their movies in general anyway. It's just that it stood out in this one because there's so many effects. Like, it's a kaleidoscope. They literally, like, kaleidoscope your ass in this movie, like, 2 or 3 different times. And it doesn't look good any of the times that it happens. And I will say the other thing the feeling that I got from it was, this was Sam Raimi, I think, that directed this.
Yeah, Sam Raimi, yeah.
Raimi? So, it felt like, I could be wrong, but this is the feeling it gave me anyway when I was watching it, is that Raimi, if he didn't have Disney to stop him, Raimi would have turned this into bordering on horror and an R-rated fucking film. It's like he wanted to take Wanda and turn her into a literal horror sequence, and he got some of that in there. The House of Mouse was like, we'll let you do that. We'll let you get away with this. We can't show this happening, but you can imply it, and we can, like, have a couple of these things happening. But, like, and so all that happened was it felt like somebody attempted to do horror, and it was just like they sprinkled horror on top of, like, comedy instead, and it didn't fucking quite accomplish what it set out to. But I think it would have been really cool if they allowed that to happen, because Wanda and the Scarlet Witch, as characters, are dark as fuck. I mean, they're super dark. They like, if there was a character that I could think of outside of Wolverine that would have been able to get away with an R-rated film, it's a film surrounding the Scarlet Witch. So I liked where he was trying to go with it, but I feel like he was handcuffed and not able to fully realize what he wanted to, is what it felt like. Maybe that's not the case, but that's what it felt like. It felt like a Disney hamstrung cut of what he was really trying to go after. I'm still kind of at odds with where they're trying to place Wanda and the Scarlet Witch in the hierarchy of power in Marvel as far as the movies are concerned. Because if you go by the comics, apparently Wanda, theoretically, in Scarlet Witch form, would have just shown up and fucking dunked absolutely everything with no effort whatsoever. But it was like, at one point, she's literally limping down a hallway, and I was like, what? What? But you know what was even better? She was limping down a hallway, keeping up with the other people who were in full sprint. So, like, Doctor Strange and the girl with the most ironic fucking name in comic book history, and the best ass in Hollywood running down the fucking hallway, and behind them is the Walking Dead version of Wanda, who's like fucking limp sprinting, keeping up with them in full run. Very odd. Some very weird shit in there. It was, they had a couple of, like, I guess, surprises. Even if you, like, watched the trailer, you knew what was gonna happen or who was going to show up, for example. Yeah, so I wouldn't say it's a bad movie. I'd just say it felt confused, but more than that, it felt tired. This is Marvel being tired now. We're running out of runway here. We need some new life, and this wasn't it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to add. The movie was pretty dog shit, to be honest, and I didn't enjoy it, really. It felt preachy at times. It felt cliche. It felt boring. Special effects were pretty bad. It was a strange movie, but yet it felt more like a Wanda movie, which also felt weird because a lot of it just contradicted everything Wanda just went through in WandaVision. It felt out of place. It just felt generic and bland and boring and unnecessary and
Got any more adjectives in there?
give me a second. No, I think that's probably good enough.
That's it?
That's all I got. It sucked.
Was it morbid at any point?
I wouldn't say morbid. It was dead. It was dead on arrival. It was just bad. It's just dog shit. It's just not good. It's just not a good movie.
I will say, and I'm sure the character in the comics is also called America. I think her last name's Chavez or something like that.
Yeah, America Chavez.
But there's so many lines in the film that it felt like it was, even if it was unintended, it was almost like every time somebody said America, they're actually talking about the U.S. and then they'd say something about America, and it just felt like they were literally talking about the United States in real world current. Like they used her name as a way of like working that in. So, like, at one point in the film, I think the line is literally, "Is America okay?" And I sat in the couch, I looked at him, and I said, "Are you fucking kidding me right now?"
The answer's no.
The answer's no. Oh, but the answer was like, yeah, no, she's gonna be fine, and like explaining all this shit, and I was like, oh my god, do we really have to, like, how reachy are we getting with this analogy right now? That's it was quite something, to say the least. So that was an experience. And again, maybe if I hadn't watched Everything Everywhere All at Once before, it might have got a minor bump in rating. But it definitely did not help that I watched that before seeing Meh-tiverse. So rip. Hopefully, Love and Thunder is a substantially better film, but I do feel like, I think the takeaway for me was, I think, this is the Marvel film, like the formula is getting fatigued now, and they need to, like, this would be the time to make a correction before it gets real bad. Don't just, like, keep fucking going until it's super dead. Like, you've seen it now. Maybe start making some small changes to keep the wheels on before it gets out of hand. But either way, yeah, that was an experience.